Marvin Lewis should be fired before the top of the hour. And I'm not playing. He should have been gone. This man is in his 16th year on the job and does not have one single playoff victory in 16 years to show for it. I challenge anyone in America to show me any profession. I don't give a damn if it's a sanitation worker assigned to take out garbage. Give me one profession in this country where you get to come up short for 16 straight years. 16 straight. 16 straight. There is no excuse for this man to be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. And oh, by the way, I got something that I wanted to say because this is along the lines of what you were talking about.
I'm trying to think of jobs where you can come up short.
When you were talking about the jobs or whatever. I take heat from the black community in all seriousness because I'm accused of selling out because I call out Marvin Lewis. I don't give a damn. You know why I don't give a damn? Because there's plenty of coaches, white, black, Hispanic, and beyond, who have aspirations of being a head coach in the NFL. There's only 32 of those jobs. If you leave a man in that position for 16 years that doesn't win a playoff game, what room could there ever be for anybody else? So you idiots out there who would have a problem with me calling him out, kick rocks. That man should be fired by the top of the hour. It's a disgrace that the city of Cincinnati has tolerated this man for that long. And I swear to you, if I was a radio host in Cincinnati, I'd be calling for a boycott of the Bengals. That's how serious I am about it. He should have been gone.
All right, you guys just heard Stephen A. Smith talk about Marvin Lewis, how he rants, and talking about why Marvin Lewis should be fired after 16 years, no playoffs. So that's what he was talking about. So here is the top question. Should Marvin Lewis be fired by the Bengals at the end of the season? I'll give my analysis, why for yes, why for no. Then I'll say what I actually think. So, why for yes? 16 years. No playoff victories. 0-7 in the NFL playoffs when he gets there. Never got past the wild card round. Lost to the rival Steelers twice in the NFL playoffs, allowing undisciplined things to happen in big moments. Missed the NFL playoffs in each of his last 3 seasons, enduring 3 losing seasons in a row now. That describes what Marvin Lewis has done. He has done nothing, virtually. I mean, sure, he's gotten his teams to be competitive and sometimes in the NFL playoffs, but then what? Nothing. If the Bengals keep Marvin Lewis, they'll continue to stay the same. Mediocrity. At best, they're an average team with a limited ceiling, and that's putting it nicely. This roster is well already peaked, which was in 2015. Many of the franchise players have already aged up, and I do not see how keeping Marvin Lewis makes the team better. It is madness to try the same thing over and over again with the same results. The Bengals have hit a dead end in their team build. If the Bengals fire Marvin Lewis, they could end up with a younger coach, more energetic, more creative coaches. Their younger generally seem to come up with more creative ideas. The Bengals need a lot of creativity in their offense if they ever want to reach their peak like they did in 2015. Andy Dalton is currently 31 years old, and he will be coming off of 2 thumb injuries in his injury history. I think that the peak has already been reached by Marvin Lewis. The Bengals will spark up some much needed energy in their fan base if they moved on from Marvin Lewis sooner than later. The Bengals are currently 6-9, and injuries cannot be an excuse for failure this season. His job is to be successful with his pieces no matter what. Injuries can only be an excuse for so long. At some point, you have to be able to overcome those kind of things and figure out how to get the most out of the roster. The backup players, the reserve players, they have to be ready to play on Sundays. That's on the coach, and their limitations need to be limited. It has already been well proven that the players cannot overachieve expectations over the years with this coaching staff. The Bengals have held on to Marvin Lewis for too long, and it is best if they cut ties with him. That is why Marvin Lewis should be fired by the Bengals at the end of the season. Why he should not get fired now? Why for no? Marvin Lewis typically had to deal with bad luck and injuries a lot of the time in Cincinnati. It is hard to be very successful in the NFL when starting players get injured a lot. Every year, it seems like Marvin Lewis has to deal with a major injury or two to a key player at least. During his peak years in Cincinnati, there were always a lot of injuries on the team, and that really slowed him down come playoff time. Marvin Lewis has also given the Bengals stability in the organization. When Marvin Lewis came over to the Bengals in 2003, they were very dysfunctional in the front office and in the coaching staff. In other words, they were like the current Browns, with the exception of the 2018 season now for the Browns. He has continuously gotten the Bengals to be a competitive team that can make the NFL playoffs here and there. He has only had 2 seasons where he had less than 6 wins. One of those seasons was when Ryan Fitzpatrick was the starting quarterback for most of the season. Most people excused him for that lost season, which was very valid at the time. It still is, because Ryan Fitzpatrick has never made the NFL playoffs in his career. Although he had 5 straight playoff losses at one time, they were outmatched talent-wise in 3 of those games. Andy Dalton was just a rookie at the time during the first time where the Bengals lost a playoff game 5 years in a row. As for the second one, Matt Schaub and the Texans defense had more experience in the postseason than the Bengals did. And the third one in a row that they lost, that was bad coach against the Chargers. So yeah, Marvin got to take responsibility for that, but it's just one time. So in the fourth one in the road, the Bengals were decimated with injuries, and that Andrew Luck was a mismatch for the Bengals defense. Colts just had more experience than them. As for the fifth one, the Steelers were a better team on paper than the Bengals were. So see, Marvin Lewis just didn't have it in him. Marvin Lewis has never had great rosters to work with outside of maybe 2005 and 2015. Even so, though, they had bad luck with the Carson Palmer injury in 2005 and the Andy Dalton injury in 2015. That was when Andy Dalton was an MVP candidate that season, 2015. Ever since then, injuries have pretty much taken the roster and has overtaken them. Tyler Eifert, the tight end for the Bengals, has never been the same since then. Marvin Lewis should not be blamed for these failures due to injury. That is why Marvin Lewis should not be fired by the Bengals at the end of the season. So what do I actually think? Yes. Fire this man, Marvin Lewis, already. Like what ESPN first take commentator Stephen A. Smith says all the time. He has no playoff victory in 16 years. Or playoff victories. What coach gets to stay 16 years after doing close to nothing? That's what I have to ask. What I answer is this. It is the Bengal way. The Mike Brown way. That's idiotic for them. Now, Stephen A. Smith, I like the guy. He's funny. But he's wrong a lot of the time. But he nailed it on the Marvin Lewis topic. To be honest with you guys, Marvin Lewis should not even coach Sunday's game against the Steelers. I know that people will counter that, oh, he's made the NFL playoffs 7 times. It's not bad at all. However, his teams do not do anything when they get to a wild card round. They can't even get to the division round. They can't even get a first round bye. At some point, Super Bowl aspirations have to come to mind after 16 years. The Bengals cannot keep settling for mediocrity. If they do, the Bengals will be stuck at neutral forever. They will never be true Super Bowl contenders, which is the ultimate goal. The business isn't even doing the good, the Bengals. There are not many people are attending Bengals games. And firing Marvin Lewis, they give the Bengals more options to go for the franchise or re-spark the fan base. Marvin Lewis has pretty much proven that the Bengals would not get further than the wild card round or better than a 12-4 record. His coaching methods have never been that great anyways, and it would be madness to expect it to come up later on. 16 years and the same results keep happening. I think we know it's going to keep happening. It's only going to get worse from here. Might get marginally better, but that's about it. They're never going to be true Super Bowl contenders. I think it's safe to say that Marvin Lewis should be fired at the season's conclusion. This man will never win a playoff game in Cincinnati. That's just facts. I do not see that happening, and honestly, the Bengals just need fresh blood in the organization. That's why Marvin Lewis should be fired by the Bengals as soon as the regular season is over. There is no point on deciding whether he should return for next season or not. No thought. Fire him, even if he wins. He was supposed to get to a Super Bowl by now, or at least one playoff victory by now, and he just hasn't done that. The juice that Marvin Lewis had in the past, if he had any, has been gone, and his peak years have already happened. It will only get worse for the Bengals from here. Those are my thoughts on why Marvin Lewis should not be brought back by the Bengals for next season and beyond. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here. Get the latest in the show. Be sure to check out more of the best clips from Tran Talks. Or go check out my previews and recaps of Monday and Thursday night football games.